Hi everyone, and welcome to the season 2 of the Emazing Tennis Podcast. In this season, I will be interviewing a lot of coaches and a lot of players that have been on tour or are on tour currently, and their insights and experiences of what it is to be on a professional tour. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Emazing Tennis Podcast. Today, we're gonna have Jamie Loeb. She has career high WTA ranking of 132 in singles and 117 in doubles. She has 11 singles and 17 doubles titles on the ITF Women's Circuit. She also won in 2015 the NCAAs while playing for University of North Carolina. I've known her for a long time. She's a great person. She's been through a lot. Her tennis journey is pretty impressive. And in this episode, we talked about her ups and downs in her career, mental struggles, financial struggles, behind the scenes. And she has some advice on, how to play and how to organize everything. So this episode was very useful, very fun as well. I loved chatting with her. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this episode. Well, hi, Jamie.
Hi, Emma.
Thank you so much for coming here. It took us a while to organize this whole podcast because you're very busy. I am too. We're all over the place, but I'm so happy. I'm so happy you took your time to be here today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Glad we can coordinate.
Yeah, me too. So as I was on your Wikipedia page and I was doing the introduction of you, I didn't know that you only went to UNC for 2 years. Why is that? If we can just start with that.
Yeah. So I went to UNC from 2013, 2015. I left after my sophomore year. I won the NCAA singles championship my sophomore year and ended up getting a major wild card into the US Open that summer. So I actually played that summer still as an amateur and waited until I got the wild card to then turn pro. And I felt that was the right time for me to leave and pursue my tennis goals. So I did 2 years. It honestly feels like I've been there longer because I've gone back so many times. Actually, I have an apartment right now in Chapel Hill still. But yeah, I only went 2 years and I actually finished my degree a couple of years ago. So that's something I'm pretty proud of.
What did you graduate in?
Communications.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. And then, so you played, how did that feel? Like, first of all, winning the NCAAs, that's such a huge success. I don't think people realize how big that is. Only if you go to college and you experience it as a player, that's huge. Did you at the time, do you think that was the coaching that you had in college, or you just had the confidence from playing so much and you were you were, I just read online, you became the first freshman in close to 30 years to win both the Riviera ITA Women's All-American Championship, defeating Carol Zhao, I don't know how to say, of Stanford in the final of 2015 NCAA Division I Tennis Championship, making her the NCAA's Women's Singles Tennis National Champion and the USTA National Indoor Intercollegiate Championship. She was also the first singles national champion in the UNC women's tennis history. But what is this? After she won the national championship, the village and town of Ossing declared August 3rd to be Jamie Loeb Day.
Yeah,
actually,
I do have my own day in my hometown.
That's great. That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's actually pretty cool. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You have your Jamie Loeb Day. This is amazing.
I've turned it into an international holiday at this point. So I'm like, oh, it's Jamie Loeb Day. It's Jamie Loeb Day everywhere. Little do people know.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna put it in my calendar to congratulate you next year.
Thank you.
Oh my God, this is awesome. So yeah, anyways, how was that? How did that feel winning it back then?
Yeah, I think going into school, I had a lot of matches under my belt. I did have a lot of confidence, like coming in as a freshman. And I also had to play a lot of matches that fall, my freshman year. Like I had to pre-qualify for a lot of the tournaments to then qualify. So it was, I had a lot of matches that was played in college as well as, leading up. I think I played the US Open right before I went to school. So I felt really ready. And, I think the coaches were great as well. And, really helped me like align with my goals, like on the court and, like professional goals, collegiate goals, like everything. So, I think we're all on the same page for me, like going into college. And yeah, I felt ready. And then, my teammates as well. Like I thought, we had a really good group of girls and it was also just a great setup for me. So yeah, I was really fortunate to have like a bit of everything. But it did really help that I was match ready going into school.
No, that's really awesome. And then, so after that, you played. So you've been on tour since 2015, then?
Yes,
on professional tour, correct? And I don't know, your highest is like 2 something and 100 in singles and 100, I think 17 in doubles. That's what I saw. Can you tell me a little bit, like from 2015 now to 2024, like your journey, professional journey, right? Like you went, you played. What are like the biggest obstacles you faced, injuries, financially? Just, I mean, start wherever you want.
There's plenty to choose from that list.
Yeah.
I'll go chronologically. I think the start of my career, I had to really get used to losing on a weekly basis because in juniors and in college, I won a lot of matches and consistently. And, I didn't really know how it felt to like lose a lot. And that's kind of the reality on tour. You're playing week in and week out and there's only one winner. So unless you're winning every tournament, like you're losing most of the time and you might lose first round, you might lose finals, but like, it's just, you don't know. And at any given week you could do well, but you had to I had to really accept that. But that took time. And also too, you start to doubt yourself a bit, like, oh, like I'm losing, like what's wrong with me? And, most of the time it's not that, right? Like you have another person you're playing against, you have different conditions, there's so many factors. But it's really, understanding that this is the reality of the lifestyle and it's how you're going to manage that and how you're going to learn from those losses and look at it in a really critical way than just like, black and white, I lost, which is also, it's still hard to this day. I think, as tennis players, you can probably relate. Like we get criticized too. People see a result and they're like, oh, did you win? Did you lose? And like, it's hard to justify it at times, even though like, what you're doing and your pathway and like the work you're putting in. But from the outside, people are so quick to judge and criticize you for a result. So as much as I want to be process oriented and, we're kind of taught that and told that like results do matter. But it's also, it has to come from you to really put things in perspective and not lose sight of that. Because, between the hate mail and between just like people, I don't know, it's just people are so quick to tell you what to do. And I feel like if we were, I don't know, in corporate America, like I'm not going to go tell anybody how to do their job. And their success is defined a bit differently than our success. So it's like, why do people just, tell me or quick to, say, oh, like what happened there, or you should be doing this, or you play that. It's like, I'm not going to go tell you how to do your job. So that's another thing. And so that was a big change, understanding the schedule. trying not to burn yourself out, but play a lot of matches because you're fresh on the tour, or at least I was then. And, I did get injured early on. And then, I think like middle of career, like was good. And then, as I'm 29 now and like other things have come up. So it's managing that and managing the schedule, because it's a very vicious cycle of I need to play, I need to get points. You're chasing something, but then you have to, understand like there's mental burnout, there's physical burnout, emotional burnout, and there's so much travel. So it's that balance. And that's still something to this day I'm still sorting out. And there is no right or wrong answer, but you definitely have to listen to your body. There is a lot of truth in that. And I think there are some injuries that I did deal with that like I kind of pushed myself a little too hard or came back too soon, and it ended up costing me. So there is a lot of truth in listening to yourself. And then the third thing, the finances. And that's something, they don't teach you in college. And that's something that you have to learn just by doing life. And I'm sure you definitely get that too. And yeah, budgeting and knowing how much things cost and making sacrifices. Because if you don't have the means, you have to make sacrifices. And, I was fortunate early on in my career to like have some financial help. And then like, in recent years, it's been more challenging. So it's like, you have to kind of pick and choose what you prioritize and what you find is more important, like in this part of your career, which is hard because to do this and to do it right, you need a lot of things, and it's hard to do it by yourself. And I've found myself doing a lot of things by myself. And sometimes that's just the reality of the situation. Sometimes it's, a geographical thing. Like I don't want to be in a certain place, or, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. But I think the hardest one is the financial burden the sport has. Like, if you're not ranked top 100, it's really difficult to plan and do things the way you want to, because that's a real burden, and you're not making much at these tournaments unless you're playing the slam. So in conclusion, in all of that, I've learned a great deal about, life and managing myself, managing others' decisions, like all these things while playing. And I'm grateful, but it's also been pretty stressful at the same time.
I mean, I know exactly. So, but where are you right now in your life? Do you have somebody helping you? Do you have a coach? Or you're mostly on your own? Like, how are you managing everything now?
So recently I found a coach actually in Virginia. So and I'm more in Virginia now. I've been all over. So since July. So it's still like fairly new. And, I think for a while I was just trying to rely on like resources to like get by. Like I moved back to Chapel Hill, and like I'd hit the team and use the coaches there, it's great, but I lacked structure and like individual attention that, I kind of need on a daily basis when I'm not traveling. Yeah. And I think I just got very lost with myself and my game, because I was doing it all, and like, I don't know it all. And it's just really hard to coach yourself daily. Yeah. And you do need someone to, on the outside to see things and to call you out on things, and just, you need something fresh. And it just got really stale. So I do have a coach now. I have a trainer, but I'm still traveling pretty much by myself. But I felt it was kind of time for me to make that investment in a coach. And it's like scary, because it's like, like I'm spending money now on my training, but like, I don't want to keep doing what I had been doing and really not progressing.
Yeah, it's just like, because you feel like, right? Like you feel like, okay, I got this. You know yourself the best, you know what you need. But at the end of the day, it's like, you do need structure. That was a good word that you said, structure. It's so important, and to have a plan, right? You can find somebody to hit with all the time. You can have somebody tell you, you need this, this looks good, this doesn't, but like, but it's so tough. We go back to the finances again, right? Like, you can't afford a full-time coach that's going to be just for you, focus on you fully and what you need, travel with you, do those day-to-day things that we need if you want to reach that, right? The next, to play the slams and to actually make money. It's like, to get there, it's like so close, but still so far away, right? Because so many things have to align. But I don't know, I haven't played in 8 years, right? And I started playing in April, was my first tournament. I saw you in Boca. And, since then, I don't know, I just broke into the top 1,000, right? But like, I was expecting of myself that I'll just continue where I left off, because I know I can play. But then, like, you go there and there's so many things that go into it, right? Like the emotional, the mental stress, playing these matches week in, week out, learning again how to deal with losses and being okay with it. But like, I'm not 16, 17, 18 anymore, where I was focusing on process and progress and not that much on winning, right? Like, I'm 32. Like, I need to win, like, to get to where I don't have that much time left, right? So it's about staying, I don't know, I'm figuring it out. Like, we're all, I feel like, constantly trying to figure it out. And at the end of the day, you need to figure out what's best for you, because you've done it so long. You've been doing it for so long. So then, like, even when you have a coach, when you have somebody, you know right away if they know what's right for you or not.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the other thing too. I feel like I'm at this stage of my life where, like, I know what I want. I know what I want, like, in a coach and a support team. And unfortunately, it's just like, there's not a big enough pool of people that I feel like, are like, that check the boxes. And, there's certain qualities and traits that, like, I value so much and I need. And like, I always too, like, look at, it's like, I want them to be like a good person, like, before being a coach, and someone that I can connect with, and like someone that's also willing to, understand me, because that will also help them coach me. And I feel like communication is so important, and everyone has like a different style. So it's like, I've been pretty selective of who I want in my life. And I haven't had that many coaches really, like, compared to a lot of other people. Like, I've kind of stuck with my core people, and, I'm lucky, I still talk to them on a daily basis, like, from afar, and they're like mentors to me, but they physically, they can't be on court with me. They can't travel. They'll watch me play online, which is nice, but it's totally different than having someone watching you practice and being there. So, I would love best of both worlds, having someone, be there for practice and matches. But I mean, it's honestly impossible. It's really hard.
It's so hard because it's so hard. But like, imagine that tennis is a sport like, I don't know, basketball, or I don't know, soccer or something, and you're in a salary doing this professional. Like, it would be, and then your goal is your job is just to do your job, which is train, practice, play matches, and travel. You don't have to worry about everything that we're worrying about, right? Which tournament to play, how much money I need here, how many points I need here to get to this ranking to play this tournament. It's like, everything is always unpredictable. But when can you actually start living off of tennis and start making money? Like, do you have to be top 100, or you can be top 200 because you're already playing the WTAs or whatever with that ranking? You're in qualies of a Grand Slam when you're around 220,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
I think also it depends on the person. It depends, like, also where in the world you're living and like what your cost of like there's so many factors. But I don't think I'll really be at a point where I have someone full time with me. And also I think I like the flexibility of being on my own and then like coming back to someone. But I mean, now they increase the prize money at the slams. Like I wish they would start increasing it more at the lower ITF level. So that's where we really need it. But separate organizations, it's always been a battle. But yeah, I mean, I think, like when you're probably top 200, because say if you're losing first round of qualies of a slam, like US Open, I believe was it 20,000 or something this year? I think so. And like you're just guaranteed, like that thing is it helps you quarterly. Like you can set like you at least know for the next 3 months, like I have this, and it's like a good chunk at one time. And I feel like the slams are only going to be increasing their prize money. It's just the other tournaments where like it makes that gap so much bigger. So I would say like top 200, but like to really be comfortable, for sure top 100.
It's just like making it there. But what do you think? What separates top 500 and top 100 player? I mean, you've been around both. And what do you think? What really separates the top 500 and top 100 WTA player?
Honestly, there's not much of a difference in terms of talent, I would say. If we're talking tennis specific, I would say the top 100 definitely played the bigger points. I would say better and more stingier. Like they really capitalize on their opportunities and like get that momentum. But I think like everyone hits the ball great. Like everyone, hits hard, everyone hits the ball great. And even too, like a lot of talented players, like girls from college, girls, from other countries, like just all over the world. Like it's not so much a question of like, oh, the level's drastically different. It's like very minor, but I think it really does come down to resources and what you're able to afford and how your day-to-day looks and just, like what you're able to do. And I think that really just comes down to the resources. And at that level, there's girls or guys that have, teams of like 3 people with them, and just there's like less noise. And I feel like someone at 500, like it's like a one man show pretty much. So it's like, it's not just the tennis. And I feel like that's what people don't realize. It's not like a question of like how good they are, but it's the outside factors of like planning, traveling, like, finding places to stay, like deciding if something is like more cost effective or convenient. Like just, it's a lot. So I think it does really come down to the resources, because there's a lot of talented players, 500 even below, that I'm like, wow, like they can be good. Or people are like, what happened to this person? It's like, it's not that easy. Like if you don't have that support, like it's really hard.
Yeah. I've noticed like the one difference, like being back a girl that's 1,000, a girl that's 200, honestly, it's not a big difference. Like they're both hitting the ball great. Everything is great. Like you cannot see the difference between like when they're practicing next to each other, who is 1,000, who is 200. But it's like the decision making in matches at the important points, having that mental stability. You can see that the emotional maturity and all of those things come into place. But let's say you mentioned a lot resources, and let's say in a perfect world you had all the money right now. Somebody was like, here you go, and you create a team. You have a coach, a tennis coach, a fitness coach, a mental coach, a physio. You have a hitting partner. You have a manager that's figuring out your flights, your hotels, you have nutritionists. Let's say somebody comes tomorrow and gives you like all of that. Do you think you would for sure then make it into top 100, top 50? Like right now? Like honestly.
There's never a guarantee. I think I would definitely be setting myself up better. There's no guarantee, because then there's other component like physically, can my body handle that?
Yeah.
So that would be another layer to it. But I think it would help. I think it would just help quiet my mind and help me just like focus. Like I just have to show up. And that's what I love about college. You just have to show up. Like coaches run the practice. They tell you what time you need to, meet to go to the airport. Like, you know exactly what you're like. It's very simple. So and for me, like simple is better. So I think it would be really helpful, and I think it would take a lot of worry and stress. But then the day, there's no guarantee, because I would have to, actually go out and win and do it. Which you can't predict that, but I think it would definitely ease a lot more of my stress and worries, and I'd just be able to focus on like one thing.
Yeah. No, I think about that sometimes, but then I feel like then you would have different stress, different pressure to perform, to like, it's different, but it would definitely like make this transition, I think, from 500 to top 200, if you had that, because I mean, at least on myself, I feel after like 2 weeks of right training with the right coach, right person, one coach, I feel like big improvement in my game and in my confidence, going into a tournament. So just imagine having all that. Of course, there would be different things you would have to be dealing with, right? And mentally. But it would make it like, I mean, nobody can guarantee, like you said, but it would definitely make it faster, probably, than this.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you organize? Does somebody help you with the schedule, or you kind of do it on your own? Like, okay, do you set goals with ranking? You want to get this ranking by the end of the year or by next Grand Slam, like, or you try not to worry too much about it and kind of just play? How is your outlook on like what is better in your experience?
Yeah, I think I've done a little bit of everything in my career, and I think at this point in my career, it's like I'm trying not to put the ranking goals as the first thing. Like, I kind of am putting more like developmental goals, like in my game, and, making sure I hold myself accountable like day in and day out on like daily goals that will then, hopefully help me in the long run and then transition into results. But I've always had to in the back of my mind, like, all right, like I would like to be this ranking. And I'm like, oh, still haven't achieved that yet. So it, also that sometimes is disappointing, and you have these expectations, but it's like, that's why I'm like, all right, like I need to change those goals and like look at it in a way where, okay, like what can I do on a daily basis that's going to help me in the long run, instead of just like giving a finite number on things. And, like I said, like I've had mentors that have like helped me, and like but I'm the one that's like kind of always proposed, like, this is my schedule. This is schedule A through Z. Like, which one should I do? And it's just like in a week, and it's just like, unfortunately, in a weekly thing where like I'm constantly, looking at it, and at this, I'm ranked like 300 right now. Like I'm in a ranking where it's not so finite, and it's going to be tentative, and, things might change. So it's always like, okay, this is what I'm probably going to do, but like, this is also a backup. And now, that I'm his coach as well. Like I'm definitely, leaning on him in terms of schedule and, in terms of practice, in terms of tournaments. So that's been nice, because he's also there with me, like for my preparation. So he knows where I'm at. And I feel like that's been really helpful because it's like, okay, like someone's seeing what I'm doing on a daily basis and will tell me like, you're ready, or you know what, maybe not, like, let's, train another week, or you've done X amount of weeks, like, let's take a week off. So that's been helpful. And then in terms of like flights and housing and all that, like I'm always doing that myself. I think part of this too, I can never truly give up all the control, like as much as I'm like, oh, it'd be so nice to have someone to do it. But, especially when it comes to like flights and where I'm staying, I like to do that because also I like to try and find the best deal possible. And I just, I want to have ownership of that. Like, I don't want someone else to be doing that. I think there's something to be said of like, it's also being accountable to, like, at some point you do have to be accountable for your career. And a lot of times, even girls from a young age, like they have everything taken care of, which is nice in the sense that they can just go play. But I don't think it teaches them like how to navigate life and how to be proactive and do things on your own. So those certain like logistical things, like I still like to do, even though it's definitely a pain when like you lose a match at like 9 p.m. and have to figure out, are you leaving the next morning or, what's the plan? So those days aren't fun, but I do like having that autonomy.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So with the ranking 300, what tournaments can you get in? Like, what are the highest tournaments that you can get in with that ranking?
I think I could have actually gotten into Guadalajara. Like now this time of year, like girls are like, the schedule's winding down a little bit in a way where, girls aren't playing all the tournaments. So you could get into some of the bigger WTAs. I definitely could get into 125s, but right now I'm just, sticking to the ITFs. Like I want, my goal right now is to get more matches in, consistently, and like kind of like find my game a little bit more and like, feel like build up that confidence. Like that's kind of where I'm at right now. And, and that's a conversation I have with my coach. Cause I'm like, oh, I might, I could get into all these 125s. And he's like, no, like I want you to play these 35s and I want you to, hopefully get matches in, or at least like feel like you're in a better place with your game rather than just throwing you in and getting a tough draw, like you not being confident. And he's like, and it's not him saying he doesn't believe in me. It's just like, he wants me to just, kind of build myself back up again and like get those consistent, put like 2-3 matches in a row. Cause I've been done that in a while. So I've kind of scaled it back a bit. Going to be playing some ITFs. I'm probably going to stay in North America the rest of this year for tournaments and just make it a little bit more easy on the travel and not go crazy and be too tired.
I guess I'm gonna see you. I'm coming to the Berkeley one and then probably Reading. So
I will be there.
I'll see you. We'll see you there. But you see, that's so interesting to me. It's just interesting, like I feel like if I was your shoes right now, but it's like you have to know where you are. And I'm sure lately you haven't had that confidence. Maybe you've been losing. I don't know. I didn't look honestly, but based on what you're saying, you want to build that confidence playing matches. And if I had your ranking, I would not go and play a 35. Like I would go and play 125. Like because you never know. You might break through one win and get that confidence there. But those are the things that you and your coach and you within yourself, you need to know where you're at, right? And like what is the best decision. And like you said earlier, there's no right or wrong, right? There's no right or wrong right now. It's just what do you think right now with your coach or within yourself? What is the best for you?
Yeah.
Right?
And I've definitely had I have had to like be really honest with myself and where I'm at. And it's I know I've been at that level. Like I know what I'm capable of. And I think, this summer I maybe like I should, like, I didn't really take, like, I did a training block before this, and like, I didn't really have a proper training block since honestly my preseason. And I was just kind of going. And then I'm like, I got to get off this carousel. And like, it literally didn't matter what tournament I was playing. Like, I just was like almost going without like really a purpose. It was just like, well, maybe this is my week. And sometimes like that does happen. And that's in the past, like, I've had that mentality and it worked, but I'm like, lately that's not working. So like, I really had to like look at myself and be like, all right, like, we need to make a change. Like, also I want to enjoy this, and like, is it enjoyable going and like losing first round, like week after week? Like, let's change that. And so, I would love to be playing the bigger tournaments, but I also like had to be really honest with myself and like, let's build myself back up again. And then like, we can go there.
Oh, that totally makes sense. I'm at a lower level than you, but still, I'm like, okay, I started playing right away 35s and 75s because somehow, even without the ranking, I was getting into qualies, right? Like, I'm like, I don't want to play 15s. I'm like, I'm not. There's no money and there's no points, right? I only played 2. I went to California back to back, and I still have to play qualies in those, right? So I have to qualify 2 matches and then play the first round. To win 3 matches, like win 1 point. To win 1 point, you need 3 matches. And these girls in qualies are still good. They're tough matches. They're in college. They're there in California playing like all season, whatever. But then, like you said, you just go, thinking, okay, some tournament you're going to break through. But I kind of also had to step back and be like, what do I need in my game? Like, I feel like I need that, like you said, training block. Like, okay, let me take 2-3 weeks. Let me work on, really, really work on some things what I need to work on. And then going into a tournament, then you're more confident. Yeah. Like, you've put in that work. You feel more mentally and physically ready. Like, I got this now. I can, instead of like, going week to week, you're not getting proper training, you're traveling, you're just hitting. If you're not with a coach at the tournament, you're just hitting cross courts, points, volleys, and that's it. Like, that's not getting you any better, So I know exactly what you mean. I hope this the end of the year it goes better for you, and you're and I'll see you. I hope I don't play you, but it's okay. We'll see.
We can do a podcast encore during the match, just like whip out a microphone.
I was thinking about, like bringing this and doing it at the tournaments. But then as I'm traveling and playing, it would not be like, I need my focus, right? Like, I cannot be worried about recording a podcast episode today, right? Like, okay, being a guest like this, I was a guest on a few podcasts as I'm at the tournament, at the end of the day or whatever, or in between tournaments, I'll go and speak for an hour or whatever. But to me, like organizing it, doing it, no, I'm not doing it. So when I'm home, I try to squeeze in as much as I can, and then, move on from there.
Yeah.
But what was I going to tell you? I looked at the time and I lost focus.
I don't even know what time it is.
Because we have 5 minutes. Okay, let me see. Let me just, for the end, like, I'm going to ask you last 4 questions, and that's it. What's your favorite book?
Unfortunately, I'm not a reader, and I haven't gotten into reading, and
it's okay.
That's one thing.
Do you listen?
What?
Go ahead.
No, that's one thing that I keep telling myself I'm going to do, but I don't know. I'm not there yet. So I actually don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I just asked that. Who did I ask that the other day? And they were like, "Why didn't you ask me my favorite TV show?"
Yeah, that one. God, there's a lot to choose from.
You see, like, I mean, I don't really have that much time to read, but like, I've been doing like trying to do like 10 pages a day. I don't do it, but I try to, and or listen to sound. And I don't know. I honestly feel like so much better by like putting the good stuff in my brain, like reading the good stuff, like healthier, like self-improvement, whatever. It's just like kind of like daily reminders, because we look at the social media, we look at things all the time, and it's like I feel like I'm less tired if I do that instead of scroll on my phone for 10 minutes, and but it's just like, is a discipline reminding myself, okay, like because like I just want to relax and just read like random
you just want to
things
like
or
turn your
watch
mind. I think if I do get into reading, I think it might be something where like, actually, it would probably be something fiction related. I think like the nonfiction or like this. I love like the self-improvement stuff, but I think like I would use it as a form of like, I need to detach. I need to like turn off my brain and like let me like focus on something that's like light or like mindless, that it's not like intense.
I know, but it's like, honestly, and I don't know if you listen to podcasts, because it was like, what's your favorite podcast too? Because for me, it's also just even like 5-10 minutes a day, you hear something good, something positive, not positive, but just something that you can learn from or that can help you today. Like that, for me, at least, it's like helpful. So do you listen to podcasts, or you don't listen to podcasts? It's okay if you don't.
I listen to a lot of music, and like I drive a lot, and like it's kind of shocking how I haven't gotten into podcasts. I'll listen to like my friends' podcasts actually and their interviews, but like I haven't gotten into that either, because I think like I just want to like listen to music. Like I want to like feel that, or even when I'm in the car, like I'll call people. Like I'm like, oh, now I have the time to call someone. So I know, no books, no podcasts. Hopefully, don't strike out with the third question.
Okay, here we go. Favorite quote?
That is a good one.
Or something you have, like some mantra or something that you like.
It's a cheesy one, but it's not. Not about the destination. It's about the journey.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And I feel like that's just like very relatable, and like what I do, and also like the journey aspect of it. Like it's not always just like the end goal. It's like the people that make things, the places that make things, and like that's like it's very like meaningful to me, as much as I want to win and want my ranking to be a certain number. It's like it's everything that I've experienced along the way that's like very meaningful.
I like that a lot, because even let's say you make it to top 100, right? But like if you're not enjoying what you're doing, if you're not enjoying, like it's not going to be much different. You're still going to have to do all of these things that you're doing now, right? But like if you're not truly enjoying it, then like you're not really going to be happy out there playing a Grand Slam, because you're not enjoying the journey and embracing the journey. So I totally like that. And I'm the same, honestly, with that. So where can people find you on social media?
J-Loeb 308. Instagram, X or Twitter, whatever you call it, TikTok. I'm definitely present on Instagram. I love Instagram. I love Instagram stories. I like document basically my daily life on there, and like whatever comes to mind, and I really don't have any shame in it. And I just like to put, every, like the good, the bad, everything out there. So it's it's a roller coaster. It's a fun ride to be on.
I know. And I'm honestly enjoying your stories. They're so fun, like you said, because there's just like complete like reality. I'm like, oh, look at her flight now. Or look at this expensive snack that I'm never going to buy.
I do love my snacks.
So it's useful, just so you know. There are people watching it, so it's useful. I like it. Well, anyways, we're out of time. Thank you so much again for taking your time. It was fun, went by fast. And then good luck in your future tournaments. And I'll see you there.
Thank you. I will see you next week. Hopefully won't play you, but I'll see you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe we'll practice.
Okay. Yeah, let's practice for sure. Okay. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for supporting and listening to our podcast. Make sure to follow us on social media.
And be sure to listen to next week's episode of the Emazing Tennis Podcast.